But we'll preach it out. Actually, it feels really good in here. I just think good warm thoughts. When you have a lot of people singing, it heats a room quick. And so I hope you guys sang a little bit. It's a big room, but hopefully we'll warm it up a little bit here, and we'll go from there. This is the time of year that my daughter loves best. There's no question. I have an 8-year-old named Grace. And part of our tradition is that we decorate the house after Thanksgiving. I'm not going to put it up before then. But she's so excited about this time of year. She absolutely loves it. And I want you to think of that picture of a tiger right before it pounces, with the ears back, and it's low, and you can kind of just quiet and sitting there. Well, this is what we tell our daughter. We're going to take Friday off because I'm exhausted from Thanksgiving. But first thing Saturday morning, we can start decorating the house. And you should see her on a Saturday morning outside of our door. It looks just like that tiger, waiting. It's like, come on, come on. And as soon as we open up that door, bang! I already pulled the stuff out of the closet, Dad. It's all piled up. Half of it's broke, but it's okay. But I drug it out. We're ready to go. She just loves this time of year. I like this time of year for another reason. I come from a huge sales background and many different types of management that I've been in. And the most exciting thing ever is this time of year. Black Friday is a wonderful thing. I don't buy anything on Black Friday, just so you know. But I love going to the shops early in the morning to watch you. It's an amazing thing. I went to Nebraska Furniture Mart at 6 a.m. just to watch the people. It's like my version of a zoo. I can just watch them all line up and run and scurry. We see all this. I actually took pictures on my phone to use later in the year for a sermon at some point. It's just amazing. At one of the stores, literally, it's twice the length of this gym. And the line to get to the register was all the way twice the length of this, as far as 20 rows deep. And there was a person with a sign that said the row ends here. And so you had to go all the way back to find the pillar just to be able to get in line to get in line. And one person who left, as we kind of went back and forth, the people that work there, because I love talking to them, said it takes 2.5 hours to get through the checkout after you wait in line to get in and then get those vouchers. It's a magical time of year, isn't it? I just love this. I love Best Buy. I love going to all these places and watching. It's just awesome. And so there's something very real about this time of year that churches don't normally talk about. We will paint you a wonderful picture of Jesus, Mom, and Father on a donkey in this peaceful, starry night setting. And we'll paint this manger scene. We'll paint this joyous time of year because Jesus came into the world, yes? But what's happening all around us in a real Christmas? Lots of things. Part of what's about to hit us is family. Some of us have already engaged in lots of family. It's Thanksgiving, yes? I'm already counseling a family who barely survived Thanksgiving. And I'm meeting with them this afternoon because they want to kill each other. There's something very real about this time of year that we should not forget, that Jesus teaches about, that is very real in the Bible, which is very exciting for us because you know why I believe the Bible? One of the reasons I am a Christian. It doesn't hide who we are. Unlike any other sacred document in the world, the Bible doesn't clean it up. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't try and make everyone perfect. You know what you see in the Bible? You see very real families with very real problems trying to live this relationship with God. And I got to tell you, it's messy. I give you this challenge today. I want you to go to the Bible and find me a great father figure. I want you to take the week and try and find a great father figure. And you know what you're going to find? No great father figures at all. I want you to go to the Bible and try and find a great family. You know what you're going to find? There are no great families in the Bible. Why? Because they're keeping it real. Like the kids say, right? Come on, John, keep it real. So I try and keep it real. And so, for our sermon today, we're going to look at very real families and what they look like. These very real families in our midst. Because, I'll admit, I have all brothers on my side of the family. I have a big family. And my wife has a big family, and it's mostly sisters on her side. And you know what happens when they get together in a room for a week? Yeah. And with the guys, they try and watch something that they can just watch, not talk. You'll notice guys try not to talk. They try and settle down and do something else. It's this time of year where something very real happens. And so what I'd like us to do is to start us in Genesis chapter 37. If you have your Bible, now's the chance. We're just going to go to 3 different parts. So let's go to Genesis 37 and turn there, and you can pull it out. And this is the story of Jacob and his sons, namely Joseph and his other brothers, and how this happened. This is a very real thing, and what I'd love you to do is to turn to the first slide. There's something interesting, is that my family knows me. And we're going to find this out in this Joseph, Jacob, and brothers tale of why real families can be so contentious and so interesting this time of year, because who in the world really knows you? The person who threw the Tonka truck at you. Your family. Let's start reading in Genesis 37:3. Now Israel, this would be Jacob the father, loved Joseph more than any of his brothers or other sons. Now he has 10 others. And so we have this whole big family sitting around here, and he's one of the youngest of them. And Joseph, his father loved him more than any of the other siblings. Now, first of all, do you like it when your parents pick favorites? So right out of the gate, we see the same thing happening then as now. Because he was born to him at an old age. And trust me, as you get older, you become a little better at what you do. Or you just give up. But as you get older, you're not as so hyper over little things anymore. It's amazing when you have multiple kids how you treat the first to the last. You just are worn out. You figure things out a little differently. And so, at this point, Jacob is just happy to have a son at his old age. And so he's treating him so much better. When his brothers saw, because of this, his father made Joseph a richly ornamented robe for him to wear. So not only do we have this family situation springing up where they gave him extra love, but he's also giving him extra stuff now. Is this starting out to be a good family situation? You're the experts. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him. Could not speak a kind word to him. Have any of us had those family situations before? Where some families just despise someone else and refuses to talk or deal with or go there? Yes, it still happens to this day. And then Joseph had to go and do this. Joseph had a dream, and when by the way, Joseph, let me paint the picture, it's the stereotypical participation award kid. Okay? No matter what he does, he's better than anyone else. It's okay, you're on equal footing as adults. You're always do good things, son. Good job, pat him on the back. All this loving encouragement. Never allow him to fail or scrape his knee. This is the stereotypical participant kid that has never dealt with real struggle in his life. And this kid walks over to his brothers who've lived a hard life to get where they are and says this: I had a dream, my older brothers. Listen to this dream. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, and suddenly my sheaf rose up. It's like this big pile. It can bend over with the wind, and so it's like this big stack. You've seen corn bundled together, like this big stack of tall grass. It's like, there it is. And I was standing up in front of these brothers, and suddenly all of my brotherly sheaves gathered around me, and they all bowed to me. I'm a big brother. If my little brother came up and did that to me, you know what I would have done? Yeah, foot to throat. I remember who's big around here, kid. And yet here's Joseph, our participant kid, engaging in these hardened brothers. You tell me what they thought. Huh? It's the same then as it is today. His brother said to him, do you intend to reign over me? Do you really think you're going to rule over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. And so you see these family tensions just exploding. And what makes it even worse, his father liked to send Joseph to spy on his brothers to make sure they were doing what they were supposed to do. How does that make you feel? Tattletales? Yeah. That tattletale sibling that's running over, making sure, and then running back and telling. Those are really awesome, aren't they? And that creates lifelong issues in families, believe it or not. So Jacob sends Joseph off to spy on the brothers. But when the brothers saw him at a distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious beast devoured him. And then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Then we'll see. We see this dynamic of families all the time when we engage in this time of year. It's sometimes difficult because who knows us? Who knows us? Our family. There's this interesting dynamic, and I get to see it, and I even did it too. When you leave the house, you try and put on these images again. Oh, I'm financially fine. I'm much better now. I don't do that to people. I love you guys. You start to develop these. But what happens when you get back together again? The facade drops, the Tonka toys start flying, and you're back around family again. And the tensions start to build. They start to build because of all these little things that are going around. It's because they know you, as our Lord does. All right, so as we deal with our real families this holiday season, then we have the second part. Let's go to the next slide there. Jesus teaches us that our families are much bigger than we thought. What do I mean by this? We read this in Matthew 12, that Jesus is redefining what it means to be a family. If you think it was hard to deal with those around you growing up, and my brother and I have come to terms with things, we have this, I mean, you call it kind of a quiet on the Western Front. It's not really deepness, it's more of, I respect you, we'll respect one another. I'll do, if you need something, come to me. But there's still that tension, there's still that kind of holding off. But when it comes to family, Jesus says it's much more than just those siblings around you. Think about it. Many of us know our family because we were born into it. But there are so many even listening today. There are so many in this world that are put together in families without a bloodline to trace, without a particular relative to track down, fosters, to adoptions, to so many different ways in which families are formed, and Jesus knew this all too well. And so we have this incident where it almost seems like a slight when you first hear it. But it means something so much more. We read in Matthew chapter 12, so if you want to flip there, Matthew chapter 12, and verse 46. Matthew 12. While Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brothers stood outside, wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, "Your mother and brothers are standing outside, wanting to speak to you." He replied, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Oh, that's kind of a cut, isn't it? I mean, he's kind of at an important venue, kind of a nice event, and his mother comes and he says, who is my mother? I know what my mom would think. That would not be good. I would hear it, wouldn't I? Because who knows me? Who changed my diaper? Who put the powder on my butt? Yeah, my mom did. And so they know us quite intimately. And to do that, well, let's move on. What Jesus is trying to really lay down is this. Pointing to his disciples, and I want you to look around at one another. Go ahead, do it now. I'm pointing to all of you. Look around. Honestly, I can see when you're not turning your head. Just look around. Look around to the people around you. As you're looking around, this is what Jesus said. Keep looking. He replied to him, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Pointing to his disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." You can look back now. What is Jesus establishing for us? That everyone in this household, everyone in this building is family. And he calls us to sacrifice. He calls us to love our enemies. A command that is very distinct to Christianity. We are to be bound to one another. And everyone in this room, what's so funny is, I get to be around your kids a lot. And I can almost tell which family they come from what they say and what they do. Because they act just like they're adults in many ways. It's funny. And you know what, kids? When those genes kick in high school, you're going to start looking like your mom and dad, too. And I know you're like, oh, I'm not going to have gray hair when I grow up. I'm going to always have this big, thick, like, we'll see. We'll see. And when you see those genes kicking in later in high school, and then you really get to see who they're a part of because they can't hide it. Because the family knows you. I don't know you as well as your mom and dad, but I know a lot about many of you because I get to train you in Sunday school and in confirmation, and I get to see you. We know you. And I'm bound to you as you are bound to me. And so we grow with one another. Jesus commands it. And so we all have this wonderfully big family, and sometimes tensions can rise. I will say things that make people mad. I'm going to. It's just kind of my nature. It just kind of comes out that way sometimes. And so people check me because they're family and they care. And we do that with one another. But does it make it easy? No. But there's something so important about family, which is what we proclaim, which is why we struggle with. The last slide, please. Family. The last slide, please. There you go. Put down the phone. My family is where it all begins. Family is where it all begins. And I would like to say, and ends. It all starts in the Ten Commandments. Honor thy father and mother. Honor thy father and mother. Why in the world would that be a command? Why is that so important that he put that within the 10? Why? Why? I'm going to tell you right now, this has been taught for generations. And if you don't know it yet, I'm sorry. Parents are the seat of power of the world. Who votes in the politicians? Who establishes the household? Who trains the kids? It's family. Family does this. Family is the seat of all authority on this planet. And so family is the key. When we reach the kid at a young age, when we raise them, when we engage them, when the family comes in, I had aunts that would be all over me if I did something wrong on the way back to school or back home. I'd have to deal with all three of them as I got home because they all knew. Family is the key, And then I never understood, I've said this before, why honor your father and mother was followed by you shall not murder. The first one was for the kids. The second one was for who? The parents, right? You have these two tied together. To this very day, what's the number one cause of murder? Family spats. Because tensions rise hard when we know each other. And to this very day, the highest murder rate by far is between family members. It's this passion because we know each other. We can't pretend with one another. That really lives us out. And so we see in Ephesians why Jesus is so emphatic in his instructions about how we engage in family and the people around us. Ephesians 4 now. If we turn to Ephesians 4. As a prisoner for the Lord, then, I urge you to live, some people think family is a prison, right? As a prisoner to my family, then I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Where's that the hardest to be? Where? Where is it the hardest to be humble and gentle? I'm a trifle deaf in this here. Where is it hardest to be humble and gentle? Yes, at home, family. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Where's the hardest place to live like that? At home with family. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Where's that hardest? Yes, at home with family. There is one body and one Spirit. Just as you were called into one hope when you were called, one Lord, one family, one baptism. We are all bound together. And that's why a very wise mentor of mine said in response to my question, if you want to live out your faith, start at home. You want to know where to start? Start at home. It's the reason why Joseph said this, 24:15. Joshua 24:15. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this very day whom you will serve. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. That's where it begins. This Advent season is a fresh start because we remember Jesus is entering into the world where he gave us a hope and a future, where he breaks down this tension, where he breaks down our loss of hope and understanding and delivers us this incredible gift. It doesn't mean the world is perfect. As a matter of fact, the real Christmas is full of lines and bad weather and tensions and difficulty. That's the real Christmas. But through it all, what holds us together and binds us is that God knows us like our family knows us, and he's going to engage us gently, peacefully, but never giving up, wanting the best for us. And so we have that hope. What a wonderful thing he's done for us. What a wonderful thing he's done for us.